Hey, YouTube and Instagram Live, it's Gordon Miller. All right, so it is live at 5 o'clock on Monday. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. And move that back a little bit. Now, let's see here. There we go. That's better. So, hang on a second. There you go. All right. So I didn't get a whole lot of submissions because I was busy this morning and didn't like, kind of preload the questions that I usually do. So I have nothing to answer. So it's completely all up to you guys. So if you want to go live with me, you can request to go live on Instagram, and you can ask whatever questions you want, and or you can ask the questions here, and I will do my Q&A. So if for some reason that we don't get any questions, then all right, well, this is going to be pretty short. But the hang on a second. There we go. Changing the lamp back there. Otherwise, it looks like it's sticking out of my head. So anyway, I'm going to take the questions, and we'll continue to work our way through whatever questions you guys ask. And but if you want to schedule a call, I have for the month of May, I have gone ahead and put a 30-minute meeting in place, about half the price of the 60-minute meeting. And so if you want to go to gordonmiller.com, you can go ahead and book a session. And again, it's intended to provide ease of access to folks. All right, I got somebody who wants to go live. All right. So, ease of access in case you want to ask your questions and things like that. You want to schedule a meeting, you can do that at gordonmiller.com. Hey, brother, how you doing? Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Let's see here. Hang on a second. I'm not sure why I can't hear you. Man, Fanis, I can't believe it, man. I can't hear you. Hang on a second. Whoops. Try again, brother. Sorry about that. Let's see here. All right. Try go live. Oh, you can't hear him either. I couldn't hear him either. So, yeah, some problem with the audio. I turned off Bluetooth just in case. All right. Who do we have here?
Yeah.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Hello. Good evening.
Hey. Good day to you. How can I help you, man?
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, I can hear you just fine. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, the family, sir.
What's that?
Can't hear you, sir. Can't hear you.
All right. I don't know. Not sure what that problem is. So, anyway, all right. Whatever the technical issue is, not sure. But anyway, it's all good. The today has been an interesting day. Mondays are always, I think, one of the busiest days, and which is unfortunate, but it's the beginning of the week. So, what is intrapreneurship? Maybe you can define that. I'm not Krish. I'm not N.A. Krish. I'm not sure what the term intrapreneurship is. So let me check the YouTube questions here. They're usually pretty good. Love your chorus stuff, man. Thanks for the content. Hey, no problem. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. 11,000 answers almost now, so it's getting up there. Glad to see you here. 11:19 p.m. here. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's I know it's late in other parts of the world, and I have a large following overseas, so I appreciate that. Thanks so much, man. What questions do you ask when doing your due diligence in a business, like choosing partners uh, or investing in a business? Well, that's a good question. It depends. I mean, it depends on the nature of the deal, and it depends on the extent of the due diligence. It really just depends. Um, for me, I want to see a track record of success, and I want to see that um, they've been able to do this before. Right now, I mean, I'm working on a number of deals where, I end up becoming the broker or the intermediary. The opportunities that I've had so far have been really great, but there are a lot larger deals out there, and so we're starting to put people together with other people by leveraging my vast network and other networks of other people that I know, and so on. And so I get opportunities to really be able to, and of course, my recipe for success is really what I refer to as 2 + 2 is equal to 5. So, really a value quotient of 2 from somebody and a value quotient of 2 from somebody else. And normally, that additive value would be 4. Well, if you do it right, the additive value should be 5, meaning that there is more value to the connection that you make than just the additive sum of the value. And so I've been kind of focused on that here recently. And we're doing a lot of stuff like that. Let's see. Um, all right. So let's see. Just out of curiosity, what's that gray diagonal box behind you? Is that a printer or some sort of storage cabinet? Oh, you mean this? This is a SnapScan scanner from that interfaces with Evernote. I am horrible about paper. If you hand me something in paper, don't ever hand me anything made of paper. If you hand me something made of paper, let's say this notebook, and or a receipt for something or something like that, 15 minutes later, I will have no idea where that item is. And my life is digital, and the SnapScan is great at being able to digitize massive amounts of documents. I think it has 25 or 50 sheet feed, and so I pretty much whatever I receive, I then stick it in the scanner, and it scans it digitally and keeps track of it all for me. It's great. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's see. You finally caught Gordon Miller live. Yeah, you did. Thanks. I appreciate that. What do you think about OYO rooms? I don't know what OYO rooms are. Sorry about that. Paperless is the way to go. Do you read autobiographies? Not really. My life is interesting enough. I don't need to know about other people's lives. Um, I wish schools operated like this, like 20 paper handouts a day. Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of schools do. I mean, they're working on trying to provide everything digitally, especially in this age. Uh, and yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I mean, but it actually doesn't take very long. I mean, it scans documents at a rate of, I mean, like 20 pages would scan in, 30 seconds or something like that. So. All right, I'm going to go back over here to Instagram and see what kind of questions we got over here. Hello, what's your opinion about BMW R1250 RT? Wow. Okay, so I am for sure a car guy, as you guys know. I'm also a motorcycle guy, and I had a K1200 RS BMW, which I loved, and the RT is the touring version. The R is the boxer twin engine. 1250. I mean, that's a huge displacement. And I have not ridden one, so I don't know. But the BMW, R12 50 RT has got to be an amazing bike. I mean, the 1150 RTs were unbelievable as well. So I can imagine with just little bit more displacement, they must be even more amazing. Let's see here. What's your opinion on intrapreneurship? And then Krish says that is defined as a business idea from an employee. I love that. I mean, we've had guys that have worked. I mean, the guys that have been with me the longest have been with me for like 20 to 25 years, and so out of the 27 we've been in business. So it's a great relationship. If they have an idea for something, then I'm certainly interested in working on implementing something like that. And I think most companies should. The ironic part is that the whole post-it note thing. The idea for the post-it note was an idea from an employee at 3M, and then they didn't actually want to do it. And then that guy went out and did it on his own, and they ended up bringing it back in house, and he got paid a fortune. So, all right. So, do human resources in the U.S. recognize international profile from other countries? And he starts out with bonjour. Bonjour. J'ai étudié français pour 4 années dans l'école. Je parle français un peu. Je t'aime français et je travaillais à Paris pour 2 années or 2 années. So I think that the U.S. sometimes recognizes other countries, so it's always good. It depends really on who it is. Do you envision a truly cashless future? Yeah, of course. I think that cash is both counterfeited as well as hoarded. A significant amount of illegal activity happens in cash. And I can, if they can figure out how to do it without violating everybody's personal freedom and all the other kind of bullshit that they want to do, I'm sure that they'll be able to do away with cash altogether at one point, for sure. Prodigal, how you doing, brother? He asks how I'm doing. I'm doing great. What do I think of Elon Musk right now? I mean, you're good for an Elon Musk question about every other day there, Prodigal, so I appreciate that. But, my opinion of Elon is pretty much the same. I mean, it must be nice to, be an eccentric billionaire with pretty much everything on the line every day, where you're not sure if you're going to end up, with twice what you have leveraged or end up with nothing. So, but he seems to get it to work for him, so that's all good. But all right, let's see what we got here on YouTube. Let's see. How are things with the coronavirus where you are? Hope you and the family are keeping safe. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So, as I've said before in other broadcasts, I believe that I actually had coronavirus back on January the 14th through February the 7th, and it was certainly a flu or flu type virus. And my God, man, it was the sickest I've ever been, and sore throat like you wouldn't believe. Temperature wasn't too bad, but man, the body aches and stuff like that. The sense of taste and smell gone. All the same kind of symptoms that you get from that people are reporting from coronavirus. So I have not done the antibody test. But like I've said, I used to get recurring respiratory infections all the time, bacterial infections. And I was good for about one every 2 months because of my CPAP machine that I use to help my sleep apnea. And ironically, it was after I was sick with what I think was coronavirus, which ended February the 7th. I have not been sick since, which is ridiculous. I mean, even some of the stuff that I'm allergic to, case in point is this is De Leon tequila with lime juice and Combier. And so I am ridiculously allergic to tequila, specifically agave. And mm, so that would normally cause all sorts of problems if I was to start drinking tequila. But now, for some reason, because my allergies are based on a histamine reaction to whatever I'm allergic to, and an inflammatory reaction in my lungs. Ever since I've been sick, I don't have that reaction anymore. So it's bizarre, but there are actually some beneficial, side effects to all that. So who knows? We'll see. But let's see here. Um, Am I a globalist? No, I'm not a globalist. I do believe that the economy is global, so that there are opportunities that are available globally. Have I ever driven a Tesla? Yes, but I'm a combustion engine kind of guy, so don't expect me to get all excited about something that makes no noise, that has no internal combustion. Uh, I took Jordan Peterson's $10 five dimension test, and while taking it, I felt undecided on most of my answers. I felt like a lot of the questions could be interpreted differently. Okay, well, that's from calculus homework. When did you put strongly agree or just regularly agree? Well, thank you, calculus homework. So anyway, one of my primary diagnostic tools these days is the Jordan Peterson five dimension test at understandmyself.com. In fact, if you want to work with me or for me, if you want to partner with me, or you want to do pretty much anything other than wash my car or cut my grass, then you are going to have to take that test. And for me, I think you have to answer the questions how you would normally answer them, in terms of, and some people, answer with the middle, I think there's like five responses. And, one is strongly agree, don't agree or disagree, don't disagree, whatever, and then strongly disagree. So you have to, pick whatever it is. I mean, you have to determine where in that 5 point matrix you fall. For me, mine were pretty straightforward. I mean, there are some things that I was kind of middle of the road on as well, and some things that I'm not. So I don't remember the questions, but the what you should definitely do is answer them to the best of your ability. If you don't have any preference one way or the other, then pick the middle one. I mean, that's just the way the test is designed. I'm not going to give anybody any hints or any advice on taking the test. You should take the test and answer truthfully, and don't try to outsmart the test. The test isn't like that. So there are no right answers and no wrong answers. So anyway, but the Jordan Peterson test is if you go to my LinkedIn account at linkedin.com/ I think / Gordon Miller or whatever, you'll see you'll see my results. Let's see here. Would you ever do business with Elon Musk? Would I ever do business with Elon Musk? Sure. I mean, if Elon, needs anything, then he's welcome to reach out to me. So I did the test, thankfully negative, but you get it after the last test though. I did the test, thankfully negative, but you get it after the test though. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, there's, I don't think that you get the coronavirus from the coronavirus antibody test, but do you think you should compound monthly starting from a young age, like 20? And that was from Matthias. So yes, Matthias on YouTube. The your best friend is compounded interest. The whole idea here is that if you start when you're 20 or at least by 25, and that gives you time to graduate from college, go to your 2 year master's program, get a job, find a place to live, and get your shit together. And when you're 25, put in $1,000 a month of what you make into a an indexed fund of the Dow and an index fund of the S&P 500. I have an answer on Quora that talks about you should have 10% in cash, 40% in the S&P 500, 40% in the Dow index fund, and then 10% in a speculative fund, which you can pick stocks or put in cryptocurrency or do whatever the fuck ever you want. And that 10% is just to make you feel like you actually have some control and you can just fuck it up and blow shit up and lose all your fucking money and just is what it is. But when that money's gone, you don't fuck with all the shit that's making real money. You just kiss that shit goodbye. So but the whole idea here is $1,000 a month split across the various things, save, invest properly, and then have your stupid money that you just throw away, like just setting it on fire in the driveway. So it should be good. Okay, so what do we got here? Let's see. I think Gordon has a cosmopolitan outlook on the world. He does have a global perspective. He's very unbiased towards religion in an interesting way, which I didn't expect. Well, thanks. Hello. I appreciate that actually. So, as far as I'm an equal opportunity offender, at least when it comes to religion, I'm Catholic, but I have friends that are Jews, and I also have friends that are and partners that are Muslim. For me, the important thing is that uh, is that all three of those religions. So Judaism started what 5,800 years ago. Christianity started a little over 2,000 years ago, and Islam started 1,500 years ago or something like that. So but according to Islam, they talk about the people of the book, and all three of those religions are based on the God of Abraham. So, the Jews don't think any more of Jesus than the Muslims do, frankly. Although Mary's given some pretty decent coverage in the Quran. So, but for sure. I mean, I'm a couple billion Christians, and a little over a billion of those are Catholic. So about a billion Muslims, and a handful of Jews. But the in fact, I even have it. I have right here the my copy of the Quran, so that that I'm not. And in fact, my bookmark is here in various places. So I've studied the Quran, and right here at my desk. I mean, this isn't set up. I mean, I didn't set up the question. I mean, I have my copy of the Bible, and my copy of the Quran sitting right here by my desk. Now, I don't have a copy of the Torah because the first five books of the the Old Testament, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, are the same as the ancient scriptures of the Torah. So, the Jewish faith is built on the same kind of constructs as all that. So, and this isn't made up. I mean, this stuff is sitting here, next to my desk. So I didn't expect the question, but I'm certainly able to answer it. And I have a lot of respect for all religions. I studied Taoism and Buddhism and Confucianism and a bunch of other things when I was in college, and I have a deep, abiding respect for all religions. And so I think that the Muslim religion has been, let's say, hijacked, for loss of a better term, by people who, frankly, don't really care how bad that looks in society, which I think is kind of a shame. Because I have business partners in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and in other places, and I have an immense respect for them and their religion, and I just don't think that anyway. So, all right, let's see what they got here. What other questions we got here? My friend has a PhD in CS, and he believes the coronavirus is created in a lab to control human population, while some educated people don't having trust in science. Why the Peterson branding? It long predates him. It's called the five-factor model, which has strong credentials. So I'll take the. So I don't know if the coronavirus was created in a lab or not. It doesn't matter at this point. It's infecting the whole world. There are various other coronaviruses out there, like SARS and MERS and a bunch of other things that have come before, and stuff will come after. So I don't think that's all that big a deal. As far as the Peterson thing, there's just a decent website. The test is easy to take, and the results are easy to comprehend. So I am not all that aware of the five-factor model, but I will screenshot that, and I will take a look at that. I don't doubt that. I mean, I'm sure he didn't make it up. So I should note, I think Dr. Peterson, while I respect him academically, shouldn't be in the business of giving life advice after he did what he did to himself. I am sympathetic but cautious. Well, so I don't know Dr. Peterson, but I try not to judge other people. I'm a huge fan of the don't try to remove the the splinter from your neighbor's eye without removing the log from yours. So, I'm not one to cast aspersions on anybody else's motivations or anything else like that. So, but anyway, so, I think, Jordan's doing the best he can. So, if you could change the president of the United States with a flip of the switch from one who was or is currently running from either Republican or Democratic side, who would you pick? You can contract it after the last test, not from the test. Oh, okay. Yes, you can certainly can contract coronavirus after you've had your last test. Your tests are only valid based on that time. So in terms of POTUS, I thought it'd be fun to see if Trump was going to, be an effective leader and see how that was going to work. I'm not impressed with the fun, frankly. So I would actually support an emergency resolution to put Barack Obama back in office, actually. So, while I may not have agreed with his policies and things like that, I'm certainly not a huge fan. I will have to say that the president is not the greatest communicator in the world. Obviously, he can read a script; otherwise, The Apprentice would not have been nearly as successful. But He is, I mean, they must have had to do 100 takes for the 30 seconds of airtime that he was, on air trying to, look presidential. Unfortunately, he doesn't get that, opportunity right now. So I would actually trade uh, for pretty much anybody. Right now, I would take Bernie Sanders as president right now over our current president, which is ridiculous for me to say, but I just at least what's coming out of Bernie's mouth is the truth, and he has a sense of brutal honesty. But good Lord, man, I mean, I am so done with this president. I don't care if we were riding high and the highest we've ever been before all this came crashing down a few months ago. I'm so over not having a decent communicator. I mean, I remember Ronald Reagan, and Reagan was an actor, and he was a great communicator, and it just was a whole different kind of ball game. But this president, isn't exactly what I think the American people bargained for, and so I don't think he is capable of leading. So, I hope that he loses actually in November. And that's a horrible thing for me to say. I would love to see Mark Cuban step up and be president. I am a huge fan of Mark Cuban's, but Mark I think is waiting for the right opportunity, not mid-year in the middle of all this. I mean, Mark is a kind of a calculated guy. I could see Mark running for president 4 years from now, when all this insanity is kind of behind us, and I think that I think he would do really well. All right, let's see what else we got on YouTube here. All right. I'd like Mark Cuban to run on the Republican ticket. Oh, well, Mark Cuban, that's so, thanks, hello, but Mark Cuban is a Democrat. So in the next one, I think he's responsible guy, probably controversial by the fact he's Jewish, but I think he'd make a good president. So I didn't see this other question, but first of all, Mark Cuban would run as a Democrat. He would never run as a Republican. And I think Mark Cuban would absolutely wipe the floor with anybody who ran against him. So, okay, the 10% on speculative stocks is a new insight for me. Thanks. Well, I appreciate that. No, I think it's important that people like to pick stocks, and they'd like to think they have some control over that. And that 10% of your portfolio is gold, cryptocurrency, stocks your Aunt Edna told you about, whatever. I mean, but majority of your holdings, that 80% is in the S&P 500 and the Dow and index funds. The index funds adjust themselves. You don't have to worry about it. And the 10% in cash or savings, that's just a matter of just stacking up cash in the event that you need it for something. The other the other 10% in something speculative is just so you feel like you are actually in control of something, which you're not, but that's all right. So, I am reading the Millionaire Next Door, and it talked about minimizing your taxable income. Could you explain how to minimize your taxable income before it gets taxed? So, the Millionaire Next Door is a great book. I'm a huge fan of it. You would need to consult with your CPA, your accountant, and and a tax attorney about how to maximize that. But it's done through a series of deductions and potential losses, and the way in which you calculate the way that you carry losses forward until a time when you have profits and things like that. So it really just kind of depends. All right, so that totals to 100% money into investments. You want us to invest all of our salary? No. Ahmed, I want you to take 100% of the money that you're investing and distribute it like that. Not 100% of your fucking income. I mean, obviously, you shouldn't spend 100% of your fucking income on anything. I mean, I said it's $1,000 a month. Now, if your income's $1,000 a month in whatever part of the world you're in, then, that's going to be a little more difficult. But my advice, with the fact that the average salary here in the United States is about $50,000 a year, the about 52. Everybody takes home somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 a month in terms of net income, and so I'm suggesting you use $1,000, somewhere between 25 and 30% of your income, your net take-home income, but $1,000, and put it into stocks, and put it into savings, and put it into speculative stuff. You take the 1,000, and out of every 1,000, you put 100 into savings. You put 400 into the index fund of the S&P 500, 400 into the index fund of the Dow, and 100 into your speculative stock account, or buy cryptocurrency, whatever the fuck else you want to do. But I'm not suggesting you spend 100% of your income on investments. I do believe that if you were smart, you'd live on about half of your income. And I know everybody's all bitching, oh no, man, my car payment, my house payment, my rent payment. You know what? Live in a shitty house, live in a shitty apartment, drive a shitty fucking car. You'll thank me later. But, everybody wants to, it's like, oh, that car that it's like $139 a month. But, hey, I got this great car for $398. Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, but that's like $250 of your 1,000 is right there. And then somebody wants to, get that awesome $1,395 apartment, when that $895 or $995 apartment is just as good. Or a couple of roommates, and all of a sudden you're spending like $350 to $550 if you do it right. So there's absolutely no reason why anybody can't save $1,000 and invest that. It just, everybody wants to have the lifestyle. They want to eat out. They want to get their Starbucks. They want to, they want to go out to the club, and things like that. And I'm not bitching to, at you guys. You make your fucking choices, and those choices have consequences. You want to do that, then fine. Go for it, enjoy. But don't come bitching 20 years later, 40 years later. I mean, if you start when you're 25, when you're 65, and you have $1,000 a month, and it's well invested, you're going to end up with $1.8 million. Everybody in the whole world, or not everybody in the United States at least, not everybody in the whole world, everybody who follows the advice could, retire a millionaire. And in fact, everybody is all scared and freaked out about how the market's dropping. If you're not buying stocks right now, you're out of your fucking mind. I mean, I don't care what in the world the damn stock's doing. I mean, I recommended a month or so ago that people buy Marathon Oil. It's up 60% in 1 month. You kidding me? I mean, come on. Pay attention, people. I mean, goddamn. I mean, everybody's losing their mind because the stocks are going crazy. Now's the time to buy. Now's not the time to go, oh my God, I can't believe the stocks are down. Yeah, the stocks are down. Buy that bitch. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. All right. Let's see here. Have I ever had depressive episodes? If so, how do you confront them? All right, hang on a second. Thinking about doing an HR major in a major university. Any HR is in human resources. There's actually a major in that. I would pick underwater basket weaving. Don't know much about the nuances of having a job with this type of control. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Junior in high school, by the way, I like the interdisciplinary things. Well, that's good. That's true. Lifestyle, inflation's the biggest expenses nowadays. Yep. Do you believe in the founding, and more importantly, the need for a third political party in America? The two reasons I can come up with one, currently the party, yeah, so we'll talk about that. Major democracy on earth has multiple political parties. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. All right, um, so, uh, so in terms of another political party, I don't think I don't think that another political party is needed right now. I mean, the two political parties we have are corrupt as fuck. So I don't think we need another third political party to be just as corrupt as they are. So, but let's see here. Was looking at how people use salaries on the average in the US and the UK. Biggest part still goes to the rent or mortgage by far. I agree with Gordon's message though. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. You should be spending about 25% of your total net take home pay and on your housing. 25%. That's the most. So they'll approve you for a mortgage up to between 40 and 50% these days. That's obscene. I mean, you don't have enough money left over to live, especially if you have a car payment. So, anybody who will get if you have a mortgage payment of $2,000 and you're not making at least $8,000 a month net, which means you need to be making at least $10,000 a month gross. So if you don't have a job for 125,000 or a year or more, then you don't need a mortgage payment for $2,000. You just simply can't afford it. And I understand things are expensive. You got to do what you got to do, but it's not helping your financial situation. Everybody's house poor and all sorts of other things. So the other question was about do I ever have depressive episodes? No, I don't. I did at one point for a brief period of my life when my girlfriend left me on my birthday, right before Christmas, and then she ran off with some guy she met, and then 3 months later I met my wife, and we've been together 22 years. So, that brief episode lasted about 30 days, and I went and saw the doctor about it, got some medication. The medication had some pretty serious side effects. I wasn't happy with the side effects, so I stopped taking it and I went on with my life. So I realized somewhere along the way that the most important thing you can do for your own mental health is just to realize that making a choice to be happy is a choice. I mean, you can be, oh man, I lost my job, yeah, and my girlfriend left me, and blah blah blah. She's screwing around with my best friend, and I've known him since elementary school. So fucking what? I mean, the reality is that everybody's life is complicated. Everybody's life is full of shit like that. So but the reality is that that kind of negative energy and negative emotion doesn't do anything for anybody. And it's a waste of time. And so the fact that you would even like entertain, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like sit home and cry? I mean, fuck. I mean, and I get that, I mean, I'm a Scorpio and it's like people are like, man, you're heartless. I'm not heartless. I just know that, it's not a decent investment of emotional energy to fucking worry about shit you can't do anything about. I mean, ultimately you realize that, half the shit you worry about isn't worth worrying about. I think the biggest thing that I learned along the way is that, from the time I was like 28 or 29 when I started my company, and for like the first literally like 10 years until I was 40, I was like, I was always worried about what people thought about me. I was like, oh man, gosh, I hope they don't think this of me, or I hope they don't think that of me. And then, after a while, I was like, between the time I was 40 and the time I was 50, I was like, well, that's all right. I don't really care what they think about me, and things like that. And then, about the time I turned 50, it was about 5 years ago, I realized, you know what? Nobody fucking cares. about what, about you, or what you're thinking, or nobody's thinking about you. So, that was like the most liberating thing, years ago, was just like, you know what? Nobody's actually thinking about you. Nobody fucking cares about you, in that way. Nobody's wasting thought cycles worried about you. So don't you worry about them. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So, snap the fuck out of it and, go on with your life. It's all good, man. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. All right. Let's see. I bought all the stocks owned by billionaires that crashed. Well, Joe, you fucked up. I mean, if you had gone to alux.com and watch the Alux video, you would have bought the 15 stocks that they recommended, out of which Marathon Oil, MRO, was one that I bought. And then I recommended a month ago, after doing all the analysis on the 15, I was like, the one that I know is going to hit, big, is going to be Marathon Oil. And, everybody who followed my advice is up like 60%. So, I can't tell, you can't buy what people have bought in the past. You got to buy what people are buying right now. So, what's my favorite Koenigsegg? I honestly, I hate the whole hypercar game. I'm not a hypercar guy. Koenigsegg could go out of business tomorrow and it'd be okay by me. The huge rent comes by everyone aspiring to live in a 2-bedroom deluxe apartment, live with a small, simple studio, and you can earn well. That's exactly right. I wouldn't work it wouldn't work the electoral college. You'd need to reform the whole system. Well, you know what? I mean, the whole system's not going to get reformed. So I don't understand what any of that is, Ahmed. I'm sorry. If you're young, again, and we're about to enter university, what would you graduate in? I would graduate in, let's see, if I had a last meal, what would it be? I love that. So what would I graduate in? I graduate in a gown with nothing underneath it. How about that? So I know you meant what department, but I'm not going to answer that. I mean, what department you should pick to graduate in is a matter of what you enjoy and what makes you happy. So if I had my last meal, it would be like everything I'm allergic to, which is like filet, and I'm not allergic to lobster, but I would do probably filet and lobster. It's two of my favorites. So so you graduate in philosophy and become the new Socrates. Oh my God. Um, LOL, answer Instagram questions too. Okay, I will. I'm going to go over to Instagram right now. That's funny. Okay. So the people on YouTube are like motherfucking me about not answering Instagram questions. I love it. Thanks. Appreciate that. Let's see. I'll go over here and answer Instagram questions. All right. We got about 12 minutes left. So, let's see. What do I think of Elon Musk? His comments on lockdown. Prodigal, you must think I either A, give a fuck, or follow what Elon Musk says. I have no idea what Elon Musk said about the lockdown, so sorry. Although your background in computers and human behavior, what opinion do you have about Neuralink? I think Neuralink's technology is actually pretty juvenile. I don't think it's really all that effective, and I haven't seen real evidence that it's the direction things are going to go. Private equity is like selling underage girls. You get them while they're hot, build and restructure them, and then sell them and never look back. Your comments? Question mark. Yeah, that's my motherfucking comment. That's exactly right. And I stand by that, man. Private equity is like selling underage girls. You get them while they're hot, build and restructure them, and then sell them and never look back. unfortunately, that was my comment on one of my posts on Quora about private equity and how much like sex trafficking it is. So that is indeed my comment, and I stand by it. So, oh God, you guys are killing me. So, oh, what kind of businesses am I looking to venturing into? Actually, I've had a whole bunch of different opportunities. Ever since I, opened up my site at gordonmiller.com, I decided to take 30-minute calls as well, in addition to 60-minute calls. That lowered the price for some people, and people have been booking. And I've had a chance to talk with some folks, and I mean, we have all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, there's probably 12 or 14 different activities that are going on right now that I'm working on, and some pretty good stuff actually. So it's good. I mean, for me, I'm looking for businesses that actually make money. So you know, it is what it is. So uh, LOL. Appreciate all your hot takes. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? I'm not down on private equity for no reason. I mean, I have lots of friends in private equity, so but it's pretty funny. Yep, just being politically incorrect. That's exactly right. That's me, man. I am Mr. Politically Incorrect. Um, let's see. I dropped a question earlier you skipped. Would it be okay to repost it? Yeah, sure. What's the question? Hello. Just give me the question, man. It's a question to the channel, not Gordon. All right. Well, I don't know. Hello. Go ahead. Whatever. Do you believe in the founding and, more importantly, the need for a third political party? No, we already talked about that. Major democracy on earth has multiple political parties. Yeah, I know. Um, let's see. I had read recently that index funds are much more popular, but because of the structured approach, a structured approach is needed and is more likely to be effective. Do you agree we should move more? Let's see. I read recently that index funds are much more popular, but because of this, a structured approach is needed. Now, I think that's complete horseshit. The index funds are just a combination of qualifying companies that make up the fund. So the S&P 500 is made up of the 500 funds that meet the profile, the top 500 funds, or top 500 companies that meet the requirements to be in the S&P 500. So it's constantly changing as companies lose or gain value. So it's automatically rebalancing without having to worry about trading and paying commissions. I think that's absolutely useless to do anything other than invest in index funds. That's the true index funds make the best of investment long term, hands down. Yes, that's exactly right. What do you think about hedge funds? Well, I mean, I have some friends that have their own hedge funds and things like that. I'm not a hedge kind of guy. I mean, I'm a in terms of equity, private equity, and things like that. I mean, I believe in starting companies and making money and things like that. I believe in investing in index funds and those kind of things. I'm not a real estate guy. Uh, I don't own any real estate other than what I currently live in. So, you're the best, G. Thanks. I appreciate that. I wonder how controversial your opinion is. I don't know how hedge fund managers make such f off money. Yeah, I know. All the data points being the worst. How can I get into private equity? You need lots of money to get into private equity. Uh, so, that's. So you bring up a good point. One of the things that is interesting about I mean, hedge fund managers make fuck you money for sure, but let's not even like you know hate on hedge fund guys. Let's just talk about the guys that are charging you 2% on your portfolio plus commissions for anything you trade in and out of. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, if you have a portfolio with a 7 or 8% return and you're paying a 2% premium to the guy who's just picking your stocks, if you look at the long-term performance of guys who pick stocks for a living, guys that make hundreds of millions of dollars picking stocks for people, 78% of those people did not do as well as just the index fund. So that means that 80% of you people out there are getting royally fucked over by paying your 2% plus all the trade commissions. Every year when they're like, hey, look, we need to rebalance your portfolio in order to really keep you in the game. Well, you know what rebalance your portfolio is? You know what that means? That means I need to bend you over my desk and fuck you in the ass with no lube so I can make my commission on the trade, so I make my annual number. And then on top of that, I'm going to take my 2% on your whole portfolio anyway. So that's what rebalancing your portfolio is. Rebalancing your portfolio is bullshit. And, if you do the index funds and if you do whatever it is that you're going to do, then you are going to automatically rebalance the portfolio because people will drop off the S&P 500 and people will be added to the S&P 500. So in dynamic stock transactions like this, there are people falling off the S&P and people being added to the S&P. It automatically rebalances. You don't need to trade. You don't need to do anything else like that. And, it's ridiculous. So there is absolutely no reason to have anybody manage your money for you. It's ridiculous. I should start a thing where you send me like 0.25% a year, and I'll just continue to like text or call you like every fucking week and just go, you know what? Invest in the S&P 500 and the Dow in an index fund, and fuck you. It'll save you like 1.75% on your money, and you'll feel better for it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on, give me a break. I mean, it's hopeless. All right, so let's see what we got here. I got about 3 minutes left before Instagram's going to leave, and well, let's see. Do I have experience in e-commerce? Yes. I built some of the first e-commerce sites dating back as far as 1995, about the same time eBay was starting. We built our own shopping carts. What's the name of that company? I don't know. Which company are you talking about? You're talking about Marathon Oil, which is MRO. I think the opportunity to buy in at the right price has already passed, though. Do you see yourself going heavy on the philanthropy side after you get tired of making more money? No, I mean, the rest of the world can go fuck themselves. So, aren't you a critic of Buffett? No, I like Warren Buffett. He's a great guy. I've never seen you in a sweary mood like this. Well, today I'm actually not feeling too well today. I wasn't actually going to go live, but decided to do it anyway. So, have I ever worked with Gary Vee anytime? No, I'd love to. I have 2 tubs of Hot Wheel cars ready for him anytime. I think there's a serious survivor bias. You look back only on us. Look at the countries, for example, Japan, which is a total turn of the past 20 years. What are your thoughts on this? I don't know. All right, so we got a minute and 30 left. Only a few people live on Instagram. How am I doing? I'm doing great. Gordon, what kind of business are you looking at? Oh, so we already did this. Appreciate all the hot takes. Just keep being politically incorrect. Hey, that's the only way I know how to be, man. Did you ever have a time where you can control, ever have a time like you couldn't control your spending? So I mean, there was a time some years ago where in 12 and 13 where I made more money than I ever made before, and I spent a metric fuck ton of money, But we got less than a minute left on Instagram. If you guys on Instagram want to come back over here to YouTube, you're welcome to. YouTube.com/Gordon Miller. You can also schedule a call if you want at GordonMiller.com, and I will be going live at 5, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5 o'clock. We'll be taking questions on Monday. My wife typically joins me on Friday. She may or may not, choose to join me this week or not. But that's it, guys. Instagram, thank you, guys. I'm going to stick around on YouTube and answer a few more questions. We got some good folks that are live on that. All right. Good deal. Goodbye, Instagram. All right. Let's see what else we got here on YouTube. Let's see. I want to get into drop shipping. What do I recommend? Some niches. I talked about that in one of my last broadcasts last week, and so I think that the drop shipping thing is pretty much over. I don't think there's a whole lot there. So unfortunately, you're buying the same shit from China that other people can buy at the exact same price, and then people are fighting over pennies. It's just not a great strategy. I was talking about index funds, by the way. I'm sorry, but I can't follow all the comments and interleave them with everything else and still follow. If you want to reform your question in like a coherent comment, I'll read the whole thing. Conventional wisdom is to invest in other countries' stocks. Americans always advise this. No, not me. People do here too. As a British citizen, it's worth putting cash in U.S. stocks. As a British citizen, is it worth putting cash into U.S. stocks or indexes? Yeah, of course. Hello. I'm glad you're a British citizen. We've got some partners that I have in London that I'm enjoying working with. And yes, I mean, as long as you're allowed to legally buy stocks, an index fund of the U.S. Dow, the Dow Jones, or the index fund of the S&P 500 is still the way to go. If companies aren't hiring, how do grads deal with this? Freelance, although this is even harder in the recession. Yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with finding the right opportunity and doing some work for free, and just finding the right niche where you want to do where you want to be, and offer to do the work for free and see what they say. It often turns into a paying gig. This means I will pay taxes here. Yeah, I know. Taxes in the UK are horrible. How long before you should pay out on your index funds? Well, again, I always recommend holding everything for 40 years. It's from age 25 to 65. And, if you do that and you get the typical rate of return over the last 70 years, you've returned at least 7% on average, if not more. It's been closer to 24% for the last 3 years, but between 18 and 24. So I recommend that you can go as long as you want. I'd like to see everybody rack up about 1.8 million in their account and through the joy of compounded interest, and then retire. But that's just me. Let's see. The pound is higher than the dollar. Why would you want to do that? Well, the pound and the dollar, you pay the exchange rate, and it doesn't matter. It's still dollar for dollar. So, but not to invest. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. So, how do grads deal with decreased employment, freelance? Again, I think I answered that. Although I am a lawyer, I just started learning coding for fun. Well, good. Well, good for you, David. I hope it goes well for you. Relatively, would you invest in a FTSE 100 tracking fund? No. India made 2 years of digital progress in 2 months, and now TCS is making 75% of its workforce work from home. Any thoughts on this? I don't really know enough about that situation in detail to really have an informed opinion. So I think it's so important to learn other skills besides your profession. I agree, David. Coding is always a good thing, although it's a huge waste of your talent and skills and time. I mean, you could be honing your legal ability. When you say you should invest in index funds for a long term, do you think there is a bias from your side by looking at only the stock index of the United States? Well, I mean, I'm talking about the index funds of the S&P 500 and the Dow, and those two index funds are the only ones I recommend, and those index funds are in the United States. So I'm not talking about any index fund in the whole fucking world. I'm talking about the specific index fund for the S&P 500 and the Dow, and those are both intrinsically here in the United States. So. Let's see. How do you maximize work as a coder? Do you recommend JavaScript? I mean, I'd said this before that technology changes about every 5 years, and there's two or three competing standards at any one time for most of the work. And so I think that JavaScript's been around a long time. It probably will still be around for a while longer. But I mean, JavaScript's been around for 25 years. So it's probably not going to be around, indefinitely. So I think you need to invest in more relevant skills that have potentially a longer, reasonable lifespan associated with them. All right, let's see what else we got here. One last from me. That's the Rolex Daytona looking thing in the background. Actually, it's not a Rolex Daytona. Um, I will put it on and I will show it to you. It actually is a Chinese-made Seagull 1963 mechanical movement watch that we're working on bringing in to the United States. And so you'll see here that, it just is a phenomenal movement. The case is just beautiful in terms of the, sort of typical Panda style dials and everything else. I mean, it is just absolutely stunning. And but it has, you can see it has the Chinese writing on it. It is a classic design and an amazing mechanical watch. And I'm a huge fan of these types of incredible, incredible watches. Watch is about $300, and so we're working on bringing them in as part of a larger scale luxury goods effort that I'm working on, and but I love it. So let's see here. I'm aware Americans like to rag on the Canadian index fund. It's not a consistent performer. There's some national bias. Again, hello. I have no idea. I mean, I don't track those kind of things. So, how do you get maximum return as a programmer? You really don't. I mean, it just is what it is. I know the Seagull 1963, the only respected piece of all Chinese watches, genuinely, and that's because it's an unabashedly Chinese design. They should lean into that more. Well, hello, you are exactly right. Again, there is not, this is the original licensed version from the manufacturer. Unbelievable quality. Just keeps absolutely impeccable time. I love it. And it's been sitting up here for a while, so it doesn't have the current time set to it. But it is one of my favorites by far. And I'm a huge fan of the mechanical movement. Actually, the 1963 movement was the factory was going out of business, I believe, in Switzerland. And the Chinese bought the manufacturing and the tooling and all of the other things to be able to make that, and the rights to the design. And they did an amazing job. I mean, it just is one of my favorites. It is absolutely the best ever. Keeps better time than my Rolex did. There's also a PETA to get so great. There's also a PITA to get so great. Find man. I don't understand that. How to be interesting to girls. Gee, how do you personally recommend that? Okay, well, we'll take a shot at that. Your videos are very relaxing. Thanks for coming live. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Weird question. All right, what's your weird question? If the world is controlled by people in the shadows, how come the richest billionaires are all self-made? Yeah, mostly in tech. That's not true. I mean, there are 8,022 billionaires, primarily in the US. That's the global number, but a significant number of them are in the US. And by far, they are not, and underscore not, tech billionaires. They control real estate, they control infrastructure, utilities, they control oil and gas. They control a bunch of stuff. They are not tech billionaires. Yeah, it sucks. I can't help him understand there's no gratitude that U.S. index funds are going to give same amount of return and beat inflation. Yep, that's true. I'm off here. Lovely evening. P.S. What's for dinner? I don't know. Hello. I'll have to ask. My wife takes care of that, so I have no idea. It's midnight here. Got to go as well. All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it. One last question. Repost it as it got lost here. Do you see yourself going heavy on the philanthropy if after I get tired of making money? You've asked that, and I answered it. My answer was, I doubt very seriously I will be giving enormous amounts of money away to any particular cause. The rest of the world can go fuck themselves. That was my answer. So how come they're all self-made when the traditional belief is that family businesses control the world? They're not self-made. See, again, billionaires, most of the billionaires, there are 8,022 of them. Most of them are inherited money, inherited businesses, generational businesses, things that have been in business for 100 years. They're not self-made. They may have been self-made 100 years ago. But so anyway, Toodles. Let's see. Do I have any guns? Yeah, I like guns. I have a lot of guns. And I'm not going to wave one around on camera, though. So, so in terms of the last question I'll take, and I'll leave it at this, was the question on how to appeal or, to in terms of women. And I write about the importance of the relationship between being successful in business and being successful in relationships, because business is really all based on relationships. So you have to be a master at relationships and personal relationships in order to be able to be successful in business, because everything's all based on business relationships. And if you aren't very successful in your personal relationships, then you're not going to be very successful in your business relationships. So I think that women are typically attracted to the same kind of things that would make your business partners attracted to you, which is more about confidence and the fact that you are intelligent and that you know what you're doing in lots of different ways. And so Of course, the interpersonal chemistry and dynamics are important. It's also, I hear that from angel investors and other private equity people. If you just don't have the right kind of chemistry, you can't kind of get the right rhythm, then you're not going to end up being very successful in business either. And so, I hadn't thought about it, but, anybody who I want to, take a look at investing in something they're doing, I should take them out to one of the popular bars in the area here, and he has to pick up at least one woman before closing hours. And if he picks up somebody, then and takes her home, then I'll invest in his business. So because the skills are pretty much the same. I mean, you have to be able to sell and you have to be able to close, and so selling and closing are the two most important skills in business. They are also the two most important skills in being attracted to, being a prospect for women. So, if you can't, get them to buy into whatever you're selling, and you can't close the deal and get them to come home with you, then you probably aren't going to be able to make it happen in your business either. So it's kind of interesting. So that's one of the things my book is going to deal with as we work towards getting the book out. So, all right, let's see here. But how to be good in personal relationships. Yeah, I mean, so yeah. Oh, ooh, a book. Yeah. So I've been working on. I have four books altogether that I'm working on right now. I've done four books before. Um, Book recommendations for selling and closing. Yeah. So the best book on selling is by Zig Ziglar. And if you look at my YouTube videos, I have two videos back to back that look at the 40 books you must read. So, and the 40 books you must read are broken into 20 books each, and you have to read those. Otherwise, you will not be successful. And I've read over 250 books, and the best 40 are on that list. And Zig Ziglar is classic 1950s sales techniques. That shit hasn't changed since the 1950s. So you sell today the same way you motherfucking sold in the 1950s. There's no two ways about it. And that's why The Power of Positive Thinking and all the other great books that were, in the 1950s and 60s and things like that, nobody remembers those because everybody's, all busy on, jab, 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 left hook or whatever the fuck it is that Gary Vee has. And they're all worried about their social media thing. You should worry less about social media and worry more about fucking closing and selling. I mean, the skill is what it is. And, it's the same thing in relationships. I mean, if you think that hot blonde at the end of the bar is out of your league and, and you can't go over and close that, you'll never close your own business. I mean, you may think, it's like, oh man, I don't know, she's out of my league. You know what? So is the guy that you want to try to invest $1 million or $10 million in your fucking business. It is no different. You're going to approach angel investors or private equity people or hedge funds or shit like that. And you're like, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Give us $2.5 million for 8% and, it'll be great. Well, that shit never flies. But it's exactly the same. Same skill, same overall prospects. And so, anyway, all right, let's see. There are a couple of final questions here. But do I like AC/DC? Yes, I'm a huge Back in Black fan. So there you go. Last month, a car manufacturer having, yeah, I know, I mean, you're going to like repost that fucking, sold zero cars, government refused to acknowledge having any economic distress in India. Fuck the car manufacturer in India. I don't fucking care about your car manufacturer in India that lost a market cap of 20 billion, sold zero cars. Fuck India, fuck Tata, fuck the car companies in India. I don't fucking care. Stop posting the same goddamn question 18 fucking times. I don't fucking care about fucking, Indian car companies. Who the fuck cares? I'm sorry, but, if I don't answer a question, it's because I don't fucking care. It's not because I don't fucking see your question. So, anyway, speaking to people is by far my biggest weakness, and I realized I need to get better. Yeah, Austin. That's exactly right, man. I mean, Austin, you're right on top of it because, and it's all about practice. I mean, it really is, and, um, it's getting over that fear is really the number one thing. And so for me, I mean, and I'm married, but if I wasn't, the idea of hitting on select people in a bar in order to be able to get over the fear of rejection, I think that's a great strategy. I would ask everybody at the entire fucking place. I mean, you're at a club with 300 people, 150 of those are women. So ask every single one of them to dance, not just to go home and and bop them. But I mean, goddamn, I mean, you got to have a little more game than that. But the reality is that if you can't develop rapport, which is really the thing that you're looking for, you need to build an instant relationship in under 2 minutes with somebody you don't even know. And that skill, go out to the club, pick the hottest looking girl or guy, I mean, come on. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're female, your chance of getting funded is a lot higher. Frankly, it just is what it is. The investors will invest in your company just so they can afford to have dinner with you without it looking weird. So, it just is what it is. But if you're a guy, you need to build instant rapport. You need to build that skill that says, look, she's way out of my league. She's gonna say no, and you go after it anyway. And you just it just yep, how to build rapport in 2 minutes. I love that, man. I'm gonna write something about that. I'll do another video on it too. And trash, nice, appreciate that. So but how to build rapport in under 2 minutes is how you're going to connect with potential investors, potential customers. It's a skill that you learn in terms of being able to endear yourself to somebody that you want to be a part of. Dude, damn, spitting facts. Yep, that's exactly right. Uh, yep, thanks, Krishna. I appreciate that. And it just, it's great because you guys helped me discover these things along the way, and I mean, I wasn't planning on talking about this, specifically, but it really is. I mean, that's what I love about these sessions is that I get to discover, what's really important. So, but you know, but anyway, so listen, everybody. Thanks, I appreciate it. We've gone over an hour and 20 now. Trying to keep it from being too long, but enjoyed it today. Wasn't feeling the best, but any you know any deeper suggestions on girls or women? So, I mean, I think that you have to develop a relationship or a rapport with them as well. But I mean, I think you have to base it on something that is of common interest. I mean, the whole idea is to try and find stuff that you have in common, and whether it's oftentimes it'll be either there's a lot of most women have ink these days, so whatever the tattoo is or whatever the jewelry they're wearing is or something like that can give you a clue as to what the subject matter should be. But it's really about finding common ground. I mean, being able to build and establish a relationship with anybody is about common ground. Some people do it in the context of business based on, hey, I see you went to this university, or like you went to Harvard. Oh yeah, I went to Harvard too. And so it's it is definitely that kind of thing. There people are working on that. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I think I will do building a rapport in under 2 minute kind of video. I'll give some thought about it tonight, and maybe I'll record the video tomorrow, and we'll go from there. But thanks, I appreciate it, everybody. It's after 6 now, so actually it's closer to 7. So I'm gonna head down. I'm already late for dinner, but thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoyed going live. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern time. I understand somebody told me it's like -5 GMT, so I thought it was -4 GMT. I don't know. Guys in London say they're 5 hours ahead, so whatever. But love going live. Love you guys. Thanks so much. Bye.